Resurrection is the main objective of our lives in God. It is the key ingredient which brings everything in Easter to a close. We can have dying and we can have suffering, but if we do not have resurrection, without resurrection, it doesn't mean anything. In 1 Corinthians 15, we see that if there is no resurrection, we are to be pitied above everybody else. When I was younger, I didn't think that meant much. We're still living our lives for God. We're still living for something good, if it's all false. But actually, maybe we need to understand what it means. If we are putting so much effort and so much of our lives into God, and then to find out it doesn't mean anything, we are to be pitied, because we should be living for ourselves. And since God did come and he did die and he did rise again, we're not to be people who are better than others. We've got to show other people that our lives are not to be pitied. We need to be people who are emulating Jesus so that others can emulate us. As Jesus lived for others and continues in intercession for us, that's the kind of people that God wants us to be. As Jesus has already done it all, that gives us the freedom to live in him and for us to be able to live our lives for him and for others. Romans says that we are to be identified with him. As Jesus died to himself, symbolically saying that as he wasn't as important as other people, that's the kind of attitude that we need to be. We need to say to ourselves that we need to die to self, to our selfish ambitions, to our selfish ideas. And the word says that we are to be united with him in his death. That actually, as he died to himself, in himself, that's what we need to do. We need to be people who are no longer living for I. And as we are dead to self but still alive, we can now be free to live in him. Romans 6 says it is this freedom from sin that actually causes us to be able to live for God. Without us dying to self, we cannot be alive in him. Jesus died and rose again. This is what we need to be. This is the kind of people we need to be. We need to be people who are dead to self and alive in him, having suffered by living for others rather than living for ourselves. He is everything that we need, and in his resurrection we see how we are meant to emulate. Philippians 3 combines suffering, dying and living for Christ. The goal is to be in God's love. Resurrection is rekindling, resolution, revolution, restoration and forgiveness. These things are what God wants us to live for. Let God rise in you. Let the things of you die, but let Jesus shine out of you. It's about becoming more and more like Christ.